नमस्कार दोस्तों, माई सेल्फ अथर्वा मेडकरी ऑल्सो नाउन एज वेंकटेश। आप सभी लोगों का कृष्णाई प्री मेडिकल एंड मेडिकल एकेडमी इस एजुकेशनल यूट्यूब चैनल में स्वागत है।
A human body is constantly at work, it is never completely at rest. For example, even we sleeping, our lungs is busy with inhaling with oxygen and exhaling carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a waste product generated by our body like CO2, various other waste products such as ammonia, urea, uric acid, water, excess ions like phosphate, sulfate, sodium, potassium and chloride are produced in body as result of different metabolic activities like ingestion, digestion and respiration. These waste or excretory products, the process of elimination of metabolic waste product from the animal body is called excretion. Among the different waste product, ammonia, urea and uric acid are known as nitrogenous waste. Ammonia is the most toxic and require a lot of water for its elimination, and this is excreted only by those organisms that can compensate the loss of water. Generally, bony fishes, aquatic amphibians and aquatic insects excrete ammonia in the form of radially soluble ammonium ions through their gills and body surface by the process of diffusion. Animals that excrete ammonia are called ammonotelic, while the process is called ammonotelism. As excretion of ammonia require lot of water, terrestrial animals have found to mechanism to convert ammonia into less toxic forms of urea and uric acid, which help conserve water. Mammals including humans and many marine fish and terrestrial amphibians excrete urea. Excretion of nitrogenous waste in the form of urea is called ureotelism, and such animals are called ureotelic animals. In these animals, the liver converts ammonia into urea by ornithine cycle and release it into the blood. The urea in the blood is then filtered by the kidneys and excreted. However, in some animals, a small amount of urea is retained in the matrix of kidney to maintain a required osmolarity. The least toxic form of nitrogenous waste is a uric acid. Those excretion of uric acid involve in the lot of energy. It help conserve water considerably as it excreted in the form of pellets or a paste involving a very little water. Some animals excreting uric acid are reptiles, insects, land snails and birds. Such animals that excrete nitrogenous waste in the form of uric acid are called uricotelic animals, and the process is called ureotelism. Did you know that in mammals uric acid is formed by the degradation of nucleic acid and excreted as a part of urine? As animals excrete nitrogenous waste in different forms, the structure of excretory system also varies. The study of phylogenesis of the excretory system reveals that primitive animals such as invertebrate possessed simple organs like flame cell or protonephridia. whereas vertebrates have complex tubular organs called kidneys. Flame cells are the excretory structure in animals like platyhelminthes, rotifers, some annelids, and cephalochordate. Apart from the forming of function of excretion, these cells help in osmoregulation or the regulation of fluid volume and ionic balance in the body. Another excretory structure is a nephridia found in many annelids like the earthworm. Nephridia are tubular structures that help remove nitrogenous waste and maintain the fluid and ionic balance. Malpighian tubules are excretory structures found in arthropods such as insects. These tubules, along with removing nitrogenous waste, perform the function of osmoregulation. The antennal gland or green gland is the excretory structure in crustaceans such as crab and crayfish. These glands perform the function of excretion and osmoregulation. The kidneys perform the main function of excretion in highly evolved mammals such as man. Along with the kidneys, the skin, liver, and lungs also help in the removal of certain waste from the body. Our skin has sebaceous gland that secrete sebum, through which substances like hydrocarbons, sterols, and waxes are excreted. This secretion, however, provides a protective oily covering for the body like the sebaceous glands. The sweat glands on a skin also help in removal of excretory waste. These glands produce sweat, a watery fluid containing sodium chloride and small amount of substances such as urea and lactic acid are all over. The sweat also help to cool the body surface. Another organ that plays an important role in excretion is the liver. The largest gland in our body, it breaks down drugs and reduces their toxicity by drug metabolism. It also detoxifies ammonia and converts it into urea, which is eliminated by the kidneys. All over, integrate hemoglobin, hormones, drugs, and vitamins, and act as to bile as a bile pigment, bilirubin and biliverdin, which are then excreted through the faeces. The lungs are also excretory organs that help in removal of large amount of carbon dioxide, a byproduct of cellular respiration from our body. In addition, the lungs also in removal of water. Besides the kidneys, the skin, liver and lungs, saliva to help the removal of small amount of nitrogenous waste from the body. Therefore, excretion is an important process which is vital for all living organisms. The excretory organelles may differ from animal to animal and evolve from simple to complex structure based on the needs of the organism. The excretory system is a biological system that helps in removal of metabolic waste product from an organism. Much of the excretion in a man is executed by urinary system, which constitute the pair of kidneys, a pair of ureter and urinary bladder and urethra. Of these, kidneys play a very vital role. The filtered blood by removing a nitrogenous waste, regulate blood pressure and assist the production of red blood cells. The kidneys are compact bean-shaped organs or on either side of spinal cord in the lower back. They are situated between the last thoracic and third lumbar vertebra. enclosed dorsal inner wall of the abdominal cavity. The 11th and 12th ribs partially protect the upper part of the kidneys. The right kidney, which is near the liver, is slightly lower than left one, which is adjacent to the spleen. The kidneys are reddish brown in color. In an adult, each kidney measures about 10 to 12 cm in length, 5 to 7 cm in breadth, and 2 to 3 cm in thickness. Each kidney weighs about 120 to 170 gram. The kidneys have an outer convex surface, and the inner concave surface of the kidney is a notch called hilum, through which blood vessels, nerves, and ureters. The kidney has tough fibrous outer layer called a capsule, and its longitudinal section shows that is inside is differentiated into two main regions, an outer cortex and inner medulla. There are about 8 to 18 cone-shaped structure in the medulla called medullary pyramid, which project in the calces. The tip of each medullary pyramid is called papilla. The cortex project or extend between the pyramid as a renal column called column of Bertini. The medullary pyramid project into the calces, which lead to wide funnel-shaped space called the renal pelvis. Each kidney contains a million of nephrons in the cortical region, which are the basic functional unit of the kidney. The nephrons filter nitrogenous waste and excess salt from the blood and help in body fluid regulation and urine formation. Each nephron has two parts, the glomerulus and the renal tubule. The glomerulus is the ball-shaped network of capillaries formed by the afferent arteriole, which is a fine branch of renal artery. He performed the first step in filtering blood. The filtered blood from the glomerulus excites through the efferent arteriole. The outer part of the nephron, the renal tubule, help in reabsorption of salt and water as the urine passes through it, thereby concentrating the urine. The renal tubule begins with the Bowman's capsule and consists of proximal convoluted tubule (PCT), Henle's loop, and distal convoluted tubule (DCT). The Bowman's capsule is a double-walled funnel-shaped structure that encloses the glomerulus. It collects the glomerulus filtrate. The Bowman's capsule together with the glomerulus is called Malpighian body or renal corpuscle. The Bowman's capsule opens into proximal convoluted tubule, a highly coiled structure, and is followed by a hairpin-shaped loop called the Henle's loop. Henle's loop as the ascending limb and the descending limb. The ascending limb opens into the distal convoluted tubule, which is also highly coiled tubular structures. The distal convoluted tubules of several nephrons open into collecting duct. Several collecting ducts converge and pass through the medulla into the renal pelvis, which leads to the ureter. A collecting ducts along with Henle's loop lie in the medulla, while the Malpighian body, proximal convoluted tubule (PCT) and distal convoluted tubule (DCT) of nephron are lie in their cortex of the kidney. The nephrons in the kidney are also distinguished as cortical nephron and juxtamedullary nephron based on the length of Henle's loop. Cortical nephrons constitute the majority of nephrons and have very short Henle's loop, that just above the extend into the medulla. While the juxtamedullary nephron have a very long hindless loop that runs deep in the medulla, each nephron also has fine network of capillaries called peritubular capillaries, which is formed from efferent arteriole live in glomerulus. A minute vessel from this network of capillaries forms a U-shaped structure called the vasa recta, which lies parallel to the loop of Henle's. They are quickly reduced or absent in a cortical nephrons. The capillaries, many such afferent arteriole, unite to form a renal vein which join the inferia of vena cava. Let's now study the other part of urinary system. The kidneys open into the ureters through renal pelvis. Each ureter is about the 25 cm long and carries urine from pelvis of the kidney to the urinary bladder. The urinary bladder is a hollow, muscular and elastic organ that temporarily stores urine to release it from body. Urine leaves the urinary bladder through the urethra, a tube through which urine is discharged. Urethra is on the lobed by the urethral sphincter, which control the flow of urine from bladder to the outside. Hence, urethra is along with urinary bladder. Ureters and kidneys constitute the human excretory system. The kidney is a major excretory organ in human and one of which primary function is urine formation. Each kidney contains a lot of million nephrons, which are the basic functional unit of the kidney and help in urine formation. Urine formation involves three major processes, namely glomerular filtration or ultrafiltration, reabsorption and secretion. The first step in urine formation is the filtration of blood, which takes place in glomerulus and hence the name glomerular filtration. The pressure of blood in glomerular capillaries forces the blood to pass through three layers, namely the endothelium of blood vessel of the capillary, the basement membrane of glomerulus and epithelium of Bowman's capsule. The epithelial cells in Bowman's capsule, also known as podocytes, are intricately arranged live in few minute openings called slit pore or filtration slit. These slit or membrane help in filtration of blood and almost all constituents of the plasma except the protein pass into the lumen of Bowman's capsule. A reason why glomerular filtration is known as ultrafiltration. Did you know that on average the human kidney filtrate about 1100 to 1200 milliliter of the blood per minute, which is about 1/5 of blood pumped out by each ventricle of the heart in minute. The amount of filtrate formed in the Bowman's capsule of a nephron due to glomerular filtration in the kidneys in every minute is called the glomerular filtration rate or GFR, which in healthy individual is about in 125 milliliter per minute or 180 liter per day. The blood pressure in the capillaries act as major force in glomerular filtration. Besides, there are certain intrinsic mechanisms in kidneys that auto-regulate the GFR. The juxtaglomerular apparatus or JGA is one such microscopic structure that regulates the GFR. The JGA is formed by cellular modification between the afferent and some extent efferent arteriole and distal convoluted tubule or DCT of the same nephron and their point of contact. The juxtaglomerular cell release renin whenever there drop in GFR, which stimulate the glomerular blood flow and normalize the GFR. Did you know that of the 180 liter of glomerular filtrate formed per day, the amount of urine released in just 1.5 liters? This is because about 99% of the filtrate is reabsorbed in the renal tubule during the process of reabsorption. Reabsorption is performed by the tubular epithelial cell present in the different parts of the renal tubule through active or passive mechanism. While substances in filtrate such as sodium, amino acids and glucose are absorbed by active transport, nitrogenous waste are absorbed by passive transport. Water is also reabsorbed passively in the initial segment of the nephron. Apart from absorption, the cells in the renal tubule also selectively secrete substances such as potassium and hydrogen ions and ammonia into the filtrate to maintain the pH and ionic balance in the fluid. This process of reabsorption and secretion occurs in different parts of the renal tubule, namely proximal convoluted tubule or PCT, Henle's loop and distal convoluted tubule DCT. The collecting duct also takes part in the process. The proximal convoluted tubule is the section of the nephron situated between Bowman's capsule and Henle's loop. The glomerular filtrate from Bowman's capsule enter this tubule, which is lined by the cuboidal brush border epithelial cells that help to increase the surface area for reabsorption. The proximal convoluted tubule reabsorb about 70 to 80% of the electrolyte and water and almost all the essential nutrients and vitamins. It also selectively secretes ammonia, hydrogen ion and potassium ion into the filtrate and absorb bicarbonate to maintain the pH and ionic balance of the body fluid. The proximal convoluted tubule is followed by the Henle's loop, where minimum absorption takes place. However, the region plays a vital role in maintaining the high osmolarity of the medullary interstitial fluid. The descending limb of Henle's loop is permeable to water and almost impermeable to electrolytes, which help concentrate the filtrate as it moves down. The ascending limb is permeable to electrolyte actively or passively and is impermeable to water. Therefore, electrolyte pass through the medullary fluid and dilute the concentrate filtrate as it passes upward. Henle's loop is followed by the distal convoluted tubule, where conditioned reabsorption of water and sodium occurs. This region helps maintain the sodium-potassium balance and pH level in the blood by reabsorbing bicarbonate and selectively secreting potassium and hydrogen ion and ammonia. The distal convoluted tubule of several nephrons are open into straight tube called collecting duct, which extend from cortex of the kidney to the inner part of medulla. The duct help to reabsorb water, thereby increasing the concentration of urine according to body's state of hydration. It also maintains osmolarity by small amount of urea pass into the medullary interstitial. Further, it selectively secretes hydrogen and potassium ion and maintains the ionic and pH balance of blood. Therefore, the nephron filters blood by reabsorbing substances that are needed and excreting the rest as urine. The urine produced by a body is around 4 times more concentrated than the initial filtrate, which reflects the conservation of water in the nephrons. Henle's loop and vasa recta are the parts of the kidney that help the concentrate urine. A countercurrent is created in both these parts. This is because the direction of flow of filtrate in the two limbs of Henle's loop and flow of blood into two limbs of vasa recta are opposite. The countercurrent, along with the proximity of Henle's loop to the vasa recta, maintain and increasing the osmolarity in the inner medullary interstitial. The difference in osmolarity between the cortex and medulla is pronounced, as we can see that the osmolarity in the cortex is 300 milliosmol per liter, while it is high as 1200 milliosmol per liter in inner medulla. This difference in the osmolarity is caused by the difference in the concentration of urea and sodium chloride. The sodium chloride that is transported to the ascending limb of Henle's loop is exchanged with descending limb of the vasa recta. The ascending limb of vasa recta return with sodium chloride to the interstitial. In the same way, small amounts of urea entering the thin segment of ascending limb of Henle's loop are transported back to the interstitial by collecting tubule. This unique arrangement of Henle's loop and vasa recta together with the countercurrent mechanism help maintain the concentration gradient in the medulla. The easy passage of water from the collecting duct into the medulla due to osmosis, thus concentrating the urine. Urine thus help to eliminate the numerous waste compounds generated by the body. Urine formation is vital for human health and it is difficult to survive without producing and eliminating it. Kidney function are monitored and regulated by the hormonal feedback mechanism of the hypothalamus, juxtaglomerular apparatus or JGA, and heart. Our body has several osmoreceptors that are activated by changes in the body fluid volume of blood and ionic concentration, and osmoreceptor are sensory receptors that take change in osmotic pressure. For example, the decrease in level of body fluid activate the osmoreceptor, which stimulate the hypothalamus, which in turn neurally stimulate the neurohypophysis of the pituitary to release the antidiuretic hormone ADH or vasopressin. ADH forms distal convoluted tubule DCT and the collecting duct to reabsorb more water, thereby preventing diuresis. On the other hand, if the fluid volume in the body increases, the osmoreceptor suppress the release of ADH, leading to increased excretion of water in urine. ADH also has the ability to constrict the blood vessel. This increases the blood pressure, thereby increasing the glomerular blood flow in the kidney and consequently the glomerular filtration rate or GFR. Like the hypothalamus, the JGA also play a vital role in regulating kidney functions. The juxtaglomerular cells detect the fall in glomerular blood pressure or GFR and release a peptide hormone called renin. Renin converts angiotensinogen in blood into angiotensin first, which is further converted in angiotensin second. Angiotensin second, a powerful vasoconstrictor, constricts the blood vessel, thereby increasing blood pressure, which stimulates the cortex of adrenal gland to secrete aldosterone. Aldosterone increases the reabsorption of sodium and water from the distal parts of the renal tubule, resulting in an increase in blood volume, which increases blood pressure and GFR. This complex mechanism is commonly known as renin-angiotensin mechanism, apart from hypothalamus and JGA. The heart also regulates the functioning of the kidneys to a certain extent. The muscles of heart release atrial natriuretic factor ANF. When the blood pressure in the atria increases. ANF, a peptide hormone, is a vasodilator and also a diuretic that dilate the blood vessels and help to decrease the blood sodium and water level. It exhibits the inhibitory effect on the renin-angiotensin mechanism. Hence, hormonal feedback mechanism efficiently monitor and control the functioning of the kidneys, leading to the formation of urine which passes into the urinary bladder. We restored a signal is received by the central nervous system or CNS as the urinary bladder gets fitted with urine. The bladder which stretched and causes the stretch receptor on its wall the central signal to CNS. The CNS in turn send motor message that make the smooth bladder muscle contracts and the urethral sphincter relax, resulting in the release of urine. This process of disposing urine called micturition and the neural mechanism responsible for the process is known as the micturition reflex. On average, an adult human releases about 1 to 1.5 liter urine of every day. The urine released is watery fluid that is light yellowish in color. All over, it has characteristic odor and slightly acidic with the pH value is 6. The characteristic of urine can change according to different body condition. In fact, the urine test help to diagnose many metabolic disorder in the body. The presence of glucose in urine is called glycosuria. It is indicated the diabetes mellitus. All over, the urine of diabetic patient sometimes shows ketone body which is called ketonuria. The malfunctioning of the kidneys can also cause uremia, a condition where large amount of urea accumulate in the blood. Uremia even in kidney failure. A life-saving process for uremic patient is hemodialysis, wherein excess urea in blood is removed. In this process, blood from convenient artery is drained into dialyzing unit after adding an anticoagulant like heparin. In the dialyzer of the unit, a coiled cellophane tube surrounded by a dialyzing fluid with the composition similar to plasma except for the nitrogenous waste is placed. The membrane of cellophane tube is porous and allows molecule to pass through it based on concentration gradient. This molecule of nitrogenous waste to be removed from the blood. The absence of nitrogenous waste in the dialyzing fluid help urea in easily to move out, thereby therapy the blood. Antiheparin is added to this cleared blood and is pumped back to the body through a vein. However, in case of acute renal or kidney failure, the only option is kidney transplantation. In this process, a functioning of kidney from donor is transplanted in the patient. Usually a close relative of patient is the preferred donor to minimize the chances of patient immune system rejecting the kidney. Other disorders due to malfunctioning of kidney include the formation of stones or insoluble masses of the crystallized salt within the kidney. A condition is known as renal calculi. These stones are usually salt of calcium, mainly calcium oxalate or calcium phosphate. Such stones are also formed in the ureter and urinary bladder. Another disorder affect in the kidney is a glomerulonephritis. where in glomeruli of kidney get inflamed. Therefore, the functioning of the kidneys is efficiently monitored and controlled by hormonal feedback mechanism, and even the slight diffusion or disorder, this lead to disease of kidney.